Today, we're going to have a deeply nourishing conversation about why embodiment and radical rest are key to a pleasurable birth and life. We will discuss why our bodies naturally connect pleasure and birth, simple, powerful ways to practice embodiment, and how radical rest isn't lazy, it's revolutionary. Hi, I'm Debra Pascali-Bonaro, director and host of the Orgasmic Birth podcast. And we have some special gifts for you. First, definitely visit orgasmicbirth.com/more and claim your gifts if you haven't yet. And my other gift is today, I am really honored and thrilled to welcome back someone who's special to me, Lisa Strohdach, as actually shared on here before. And some of you I know really were taken by her sharing her Breech birth story in episode 85. So if you haven't heard that yet, you definitely want to go back because Lisa has a lot to share about her own birth. But from there, she's become a doula, teaches prenatal and postnatal yoga, host Wild and Bloom retreats, which I just love that name, Wild and Bloom, special days for rest, movement, connection, and joy. She's passionate about creating safe spaces to talk openly about sexuality and its powerful role in birth. And Lisa is one of our orgasmic birth practitioners. So this is your invitation to soften, settle in your body, and remember that pleasure is your birthright in birth, parenting, and life. And join me in welcoming Lisa back. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Hi, Debra, and thank you so much for having me on the show again. It's been such a cool and amazing full circle moment, really, coming together with you here on the podcast again today after last time that we spoke in here, and me being in your course to the orgasmic birth practitioner and being in that community has really fulfilled my life. And it's this full circle moment that kind of keeps happening with you, really. So thank you.
You're welcome. And it is so wonderful, right, that we have a community and we're just growing and supporting each other. And that's why it's so unique to have you back, because you're taking that pleasure and sexuality and orgasmic birth and bringing it out in your way and your many skills and wisdom. So I'm really excited to have you talk a bit about why your body always connects pleasure and birth.
So it's quite simple, really. If we think about what are the parts that are involved in giving birth, we've got definitely your vulva involved in it. You've got your inner parts involved in it. There's definitely the parts in your body that are connected to the birthing process, as well as connected to the time of arousal, the time of sexuality. So that's the part where your body is connecting physically sexuality and birth with each other. But then you actually also have another layer that's connecting it. That's the hormonal part. So the hormones that are involved in giving birth and compared to having sexual arousal and sexy time with yourself or with a partner are very, very similar to the ones that you have when you give birth. You've got oxytocin flowing. We all know this word oxytocin, this hormone has been around everywhere. And I think in the orgasmic birth community, I kind of just claiming it that it's one of our favorite hormones that we like talking about, because it's so essential for giving birth. It is so important. We cannot do it without. And this hormone has got its peak moment right after you have given birth. So in the first half an hour after your baby has been born and it's cuddling on you, it's maybe already suckling on your breast for the first time, you have the peak of that hormone in your blood level. And on your show, you've got people that have been talking about this, that are studying, that got the science that's backing it actually up. And compared to that peak level that you have after you've just given birth to your wonderful baby, you have got, and not quite as high, but a similar level of oxytocin that's reaching when you come to a climax, so when you orgasm. So here we've got another obvious reason why the body does not disconnect these two things with each other. Another reason why these two parts are actually connected with each other. So there we've got the physical parts. We've got obviously parts of our human body that are involved in giving birth, as also in having an orgasm. And we've got the hormonal part that is very, very similar. And then I think for me, there's another level. There's the level of my consciousness, like in what state am I consciously in while I want to give birth? What do I want to feel like? What do I want to think? Do I want to be worried about who's coming into the door? Do I want to be distracted by annoying sounds and noises that I can hear around me, or smells that I don't really like? Or can I feel much more into pleasure when I'm in a state where I'm calm, where I'm feeling safe, where I like the smells, where I feel comfortable in my skin, where it's maybe warm, where I'm just feeling like I can really let go and don't have the yearning to control anything, but surrender. And that's also the state we want to be in while giving birth. So here we've got another layer why birth and sexuality are connected with each other. And I think it's, if you look at it from that simple lens, you can't actually disconnect them anymore. There's no way how you can, because it's so obvious. So I feel we're growing up in a society around us where our body has got that knowledge. Our body knows this, but we are growing up in around people and in societal conditioning that is kind of distracting us from this, that is making that disconnect happen, that is making sexuality be something that is shameful or dirty, or something that sometimes is happening to you, sometimes something that people are also having trauma around. I want to point out that there might be people listening here that have felt this kind of trauma. We've got so many women, people that have had sexual trauma in their life, and especially for those, that sentence of sexuality and birth belong together might be quite frightening in a way. And so if we look at those aspects of it, though, we can see that, hey, there's so much to gain from this. Like, what does our body need when we want to have arousal? What do we need when we want to feel pleasure? Simple questions that we can ask ourselves, and that will help us in those situations of giving birth, when it might start to get challenging for you, where you feel, okay, I have got this really deep connection to my body and my sexuality, and I know what I like, and I know what I want, and I know how I can feel good, then absolutely I can integrate this into the journey of giving birth to my children. So bring your candles, bring your vibrators, bring anything that you want to your birth. It's your journey. Allow yourself to use the tools that you want.
Lisa, so well said. And I love all the ways that you connected, you know, from our anatomy of pleasure to our hormones, to our mind, to what we see and feel, and honoring trauma. And you know, that last piece, I love bring the tools that serve you, as we're just getting ready to launch our Pleasure Vibe Fin, right? The first vibrator specifically designed and supported for pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. So your tips really bring it together. And I'm just wondering if you've had experience, and I don't remember back from your birth, or if you've been with people that have used vibrators in self-pleasure and what their feelings have been at birth.
So I am a doula that is going with people to having their birth, supporting them through their birth. No one has yet had a pleasure wand or a vibrator with them, but I've always been pointing it out. But I've got my own story. And I think in the birth story that I shared with you on the last episode, I don't think that I went into it on detail as much. But since joining you on the course of the Orgasmic Birth Practitioner, this has become something that I've been more aware of, because before I think I didn't really that much pay attention to it or make anything of it. But now I realize how it actually prepared me for giving birth. So when I was pregnant with my first son in New Zealand, I think it was the last trimester probably. I was probably sort of towards the end of it almost. And I remember that I had so much this yearning of masturbation. And I'm saying this word again, masturbation, because it's a word that we always say like this, but we're allowed to say it open and wide and loudly and with pride. And masturbation has definitely, in that time, has been something that I was yearning for, like my body was calling for it. And I think I didn't really pay attention to of why, but looking back on it now, I'm convinced that this has been one of the big reasons why the breech birth, the breech home birth of my son, which that birth, was going so smoothly, because I was preparing my body with, in all those ways that we've just talked about, physically, emotionally, and mentally, to give birth to my son. And I did that through experiencing pleasure, through having it in my body regularly, sometimes a few times a day. And that way, I had a really good connection to myself. I had the feeling I know what I like, and I knew how to get there. And I was exploring my body. I was looking at my body. I've got this really beautiful little thing here.
Ah,
My
gorgeous.
vulva puppet, where you can see all the beautiful parts. And when we actually find that connection and we're looking at ourselves, we're looking at our anatomy, there's just a deeper way of tuning in and knowing how to move through things. And therefore, my body just needed, or I just needed to surrender to my body and just really let go and make sure that it can just do the thing that it needs to do without trying to control anything. And I'm convinced that having those really deep connections through pleasure, through masturbation in those last few weeks of pregnancy was an immense help for that. It also, my oxytocin was high all the time. So, all those things can only be good, really.
Yes. So beautiful and good for you and good for your baby, because what you're feeling and the hormonal state you're in, your baby gets to experience. And how beautiful to be in an oxytocin love kind of cocoon. So I love that. And I do think masturbation, one, is so healthy and important in our lives, but also such great way. How wonderful. Thank you for sharing as preparing for birth, and especially for a breech birth, but any birth, right? To really fully open and know your body, what it needs to find that pleasure and work to birth that babe. Are you curious about enhancing pleasure and easing discomfort in labor? Orgasmic Birth and Dame present the Pleasure Vibe Fin, a waterproof vibrator designed to empower your journey through pregnancy, birth, and beyond. Boost your oxytocin, ease discomfort naturally, and transform your birth into an empowered and even orgasmic experience. Plus, support postpartum healing and reconnect with your body. Are you ready to embrace the power of pleasure? Click below, learn more, and start your transformation today. So I know that this goes along, right, with like also preparing and practicing embodiment. And you do so much of that. I loved your words about your upcoming, wild bloom retreats, right, which gives that rest and embodiment and connection and joy. So can you share a few ways to practice embodiment?
Yeah, sure. So before the ways of practicing it, I again here would like to break it down into a few little bits. So first of all, what is embodiment? We hear this word and it's kind of a bit abstract, right? It's popping up a lot around the yoga scene and, those conscious living places. But what is it really? And so I've asked myself this question, and like before, I kind of noticed that there are a few layers to it. And those layers are like, I've found sort of like four for what I finding makes sense. First of all, embodiment only happens if you have a body. So if you have a physical shell, and that physical shell is showing you signs. That physical shell can be sore, it can be tender, it can ache. It can also feel good and nurtured and soft and warm. So, there are a few things here. Second is, again, the mental state. So if you're embodied and you're feeling like you're inside of your body and you've got the connection to yourself, but at the same time, mentally, you're beating yourself up about the dishes you left out yesterday, or you're worried about the going out with the wrong dress, whatever it is, all those silly things that keep us occupied sometimes, that have got our head running, that's got our thoughts, our brain going. And I am someone I've got ADHD, and this is something that has been something that is always happening to me. There's always thoughts running and racing around. So sometimes we don't always have that control over it. But when we learn how to slow down, we can find more ways how we can actually tune those loud volumes. We can tune them down a little bit. They might not be gone completely, but you might find ways how you can be feeling present in your body and actually also have a calm mental state. Third one is the emotional part. How are you feeling in that moment when you're there? When you're laying on your mat, on your yoga mat, in your bed, you feel that you're connected to your body, your breath, for example. You also found a way that your mind is calm. And then how does that feel when you're in there? What is your emotional state telling you? And the last one, or actually the fourth one, the senses. We've got senses. And what is there for us? What are we sensing around us when we're in there? So we've got these four layers that I find that if we're connecting them with each other, we can experience this real true embodiment of ourselves, where our nervous system can regulate, where we can be more aware of ourselves, where it's much easier to notice the boundaries that you might feel, or that you have, that you might feel that you have overwritten because you wanted to please someone else, and because, or stages where you can also communicate those boundaries more clearly. The nervous system, I think I've already said that, and your muscle tone. Our muscles, when they're relaxing, they don't want to hold on. So if you just do this quick practice with me, I've got 2 things I would like to physically practice with you, Debra, and the listeners out there. If you just make a fist, like really strong, and you make this fist really hard, you can feel the muscle tone is tight. And now when you let go of that, sometimes I'm almost shaking then here when I'm letting go after being so tight. And this is also what happens to you when you're really feeling that connection with all those 4 layers. Your muscle tone calms down and it relaxes. And these things are all things that are helpful and important, especially while you're pregnant and before you want to give birth. They're pregnant always. Like, this is stuff that is important for everyone, every human being on this earth, I'm finding. But especially while you are carrying a baby inside of you, while you nurture your baby, these are things that will be such important and helpful tools that your body is experiencing, and therefore can then just tune into them when they're needed, when it's necessary to come back into this state. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And I love the 4 layers. I've never heard anyone explain it so well. And, because I share with you sometimes, the mind is going to, and how do you bring all this together? So that was beautiful, Lisa. And how would you say, like, for people that are listening that are pregnant, how can they, or what would be some recommendations for them on how to integrate embodiment practices?
So there are many ways how you can achieve that. You can do that through movement, through dance, through yoga, whatever movement it is for you that is active and physical. Obviously, that can help you to find that connection first with that first layer, with the shell, with the body, with the things that you can touch. But it can also be as simple as closing your eyes and trying to connect to your breath. And I would love, that's the second part I would love to do with you right now and with the listeners that are here joining us today. So if you are driving, please don't do this right now, because I would like you to close your eyes. So maybe you can find a little car park or whatever. You make a pause and you pull over. So wherever you are right now, close your eyes and ask yourself that question: can I sense my breath? Just that simple. And when you can sense the breath, where can you sense it? Can you feel how the breath is coming through your nostrils when you breathe in? How the fresh, cool air enters your system? Your belly rising, and how it's traveling through your whole body. Do that a few times. Feel when you breathe in through the nostrils, that fresh, cool air. Feel the belly rising. And then when you breathe out, feel that warm oxygen now leaving your body through your nostrils or your mouth, however you like to breathe out. And just this simple practice, this mini meditation that you're doing here and now, can be a simple way how you can integrate embodiment in your daily life, in your routines that you have in your busy schedule every day. This probably only took us a couple of minutes now. So it's really a simple way to fit it in to tight schedules. Now ask yourself the question, how are you feeling now? And when you're ready, you can open your eyes again. And you can really take that with you. You can feel how in this short moment, in that short time, you can feel the shoulders dropping down.
Yeah.
You can feel how your body tone has relaxed again. And you can sense that when you practice this on a regular basis. And like I said, that's not really an excuse to not be doing something if you want to. Like if you are looking for something, how to prepare for birth. And often it seems like it's this big mountain to climb of things and how to fit that into your schedule. But this is something that you can do everywhere and all the time. When you're waiting for an appointment, when you are in queue at the checkout, waiting till you can get through, till you can pay. This is something that you've always got with you. You don't need any tools with that. And you can practice it wherever you are.
So beautiful, Lisa. And it felt so peaceful, which leads us really well into you say radical rest does so much for you. And I love that because I feel so relaxed now that I almost could go rest, right? So why does rest do so much for us? And it's something I think so many of us leave off.
Yeah, well, when are we actually allowed to rest? When was the last time? Ask yourself that question now. So I'm not quite true to myself. I said two things. I'm asking you the third thing now, you and the listeners. When did you allow yourself the last time to have a real pause, even though you had a big schedule? When was the last time that you allowed yourself to take your own needs and to take yourself as the priority? And I'm not saying this in a way of, I'm doing this all the time and I'm Lisa and I always take rest first. No, I'm not. And sometimes it works easier for me also, sometimes it doesn't. But I can always feel when I have taken the time to rest and when I have taken the time to really put everything aside, all of the stuff that I need to do, the laundry, the kids, whatever it is that I have on, and I've just been allowing myself to rest, to nurture, to do whatever pleases me, to lay down, to have a bath. And in those moments, we can easier access those 4 layers of embodiment. Our whole system can calm down and can integrate all of those busy things that are happening around us. This world, this crazy world, this beautiful, crazy world that we're living in right now, we are always getting fed so much information all of the time. We've got social media, we're connected everywhere around the world, which is great in a way, but it also means that our brain and our nervous system has to filter so much information throughout the day that it's finding it often really hard to slow down. And again, I'm saying this as someone who's finding it really hard to slow down actually sometimes. And learning and then noticing the benefits and the downfalls of it when I'm not doing it regularly. I'm feeling stressed out. I feel that I'm more on edge. I am crossing my boundaries. I'm not communicating my boundaries. I am not in a way the mother that I maybe want to be towards my children. And all of those states can help or can get better when you push this pause button. Not every day. Obviously, we can't do that. We're functioning in a world where we do have to keep the wheels spinning. but the wheel is not gonna fall off if we make a break every now and then. Actually, what it means is you can repair that wheel. That wheel needs looking after. It needs to have you pay attention to what's happening and where are the places that it needs to get fixed again, or where it needs to repair. And we can only really do that when we're in a state of rest. So for me, laying down in my hammock on my balcony, looking at the Alps where I am, is my way of protest.
I love it. I love rest as protest and to be laying in a hammock looking at the Alps, but we all have spaces, right, that we can create or be in nature. And I think that's such a good reminder, especially for everyone that's listening, that's pregnant or parenting, right? We need it all through our life. But also, you gave us so many good tips to practice and bring into birth, because labor is alternating rest and activity. So being able to be good at those breaks is so important to rest. Well, Lisa, like always, it's such a delight to be with you, to bathe in your knowledge and wisdom, to be guided by you. And I know that our listeners are going to want to know, again, be reminded how they can connect with you, where they can follow you. Can you share a bit about what you're offering?
Yeah, of course. So right now I'm sitting in my new space, my studio, my Aroha studio. Aroha is the word in Te Reo Māori of love, which is kind of what led me on my path. And in this studio, I've got different things that I'm offering. I've got my doula sessions that I'm having here. I'm inviting the families and the women into my space to have the doula coachings with me. I've got yoga classes that I'm hosting in here in person as also online. So you can also do that on an online way if you're somewhere else in the world. Then there are going to be workshops in this space here, all around pleasure, birth, sexuality, but also really just about living life, like craft stuff and coming together, having the space really something that I want to share. And like you've also already mentioned, the Wild and Bloom retreats, which are special retreats that I'm co-hosting with a doula friend of mine, Anna Maria Furchat. And we've just launched this brand, Wild and Bloom, which is really dear to our hearts. And it kind of is wild because we feel that everything is nice with being wild. Got some wildflowers here, which are so beautiful. And bloom is because we want to, in pregnancy, we bloom open to something new. And in those days, they're going to be first one-day retreats, and then going on, we will move into weekend retreat settings. It's a day where you can rest. Exactly. That's one of our big goals. Rest and feel and experience. And you've got the community that's coming. You're coming together with other pregnant women. We've got a beautiful setting where we're hosting it in. It's a birth house in Bavaria, in Rottach am Inn. People who are from Germany might be able to look that up. I'll have that or Debra will have that in the show notes. And it's going to be a day for you to really settle in and prepare yourself in this more holistic way, I guess, of approaching birth. Yeah.
And can you tell people where they can find that? What's your website?
Absolutely. Thanks. So on Instagram, on socials, obviously you can find me on under Aroha Begleitung, which is something I will spell out for those of you who are listening out of Germany. So Aroha is spelled AROHA_BEGLEITUNG. It's quite an unusual word if you're not familiar with the German language, but again, I'm sure Debra will have this in the notes.
Yes.
And then there's also the way of the Wild and Bloom retreats, which is a bit easier. Wild, like you spell wild, and Bloom _retreats is that Instagram that you can find us in. And then there's my homepage, and I've got an email, obviously, also where you can always connect with me.
Thank you so much, Lisa. We will put all that in the notes, so definitely look below wherever you're listening or watching. And if today's conversation spoke to your body and soul, take a moment right now to honor what you're feeling. And we hope you'll share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Also, join us in our global community of birth keepers like Lisa, our orgasmic birth practitioner community. And wherever you are, we hope you're reclaiming pleasure and power in birth and life. And remember, we have free gifts for you at orgasmicbirth.com/more. So thank you again, Lisa, for being here.
Thank you so much. It was so much fun. And I'm looking forward to hearing back from people, and wishing you a pleasurable, embodied pregnancy and life.
Oh, thank you. And thank you to our listeners. We love to hear from you. So both Lisa and I are waiting for your comments and feedback, and we wish you a pleasurable day.